Today we're looking at Jean-Baptiste Arban's characteristic Étude n.10. To start, let's look at some of the general concepts that you can apply to this étude during your learning process. First of all, remember that the musical process begins in the breath. Have time and subdivision already happening before you breathe. Not only will this offer you more consistency and confidence on the first note, but will also establish solid rhythm from the start, which is especially important on Étude n.10, as we start with a quarter note, but immediately move to 16th notes. Use fast fingers with decisive strikes of the vowels, both on the way down and on the way up. Hear the sound of the vowels in both directions. This holds true even for the slow passages. Break the étude into sections. Break those sections into chunks. When needed, break chunks into bars or single beats. Spend most of your time where time is needed without mismanaging your time in sections that you have already mastered. Be conscious of your metronome markings. Don't play faster than is comfortable. Instead, always play at whatever speed you can execute the passage, section, or entire étude to its very best. Remember, muscle memory and speed are not necessarily related. And be true to the slurs and articulations that are written. If you change something, it should be through a conscious, well thought out musical decision, and not a mistake due to lack of attention. Record yourself at all stages of your learning. Don't wait to record only when you feel ready to perform the entire étude at tempo. You might have neglected something important, and the process of unlearning and relearning is much longer and more difficult. And make every note matter. Most of us spend far too much time just going through the motions without dedicating 100% of our attention and focus to the task at hand. If you're having difficulties focusing, you might be better off taking a break and returning to your trumpet after some mental rest. Always practice as if it was a performance. Now, let's talk a little bit about specific notes related to Étude n.10. Depending on your tempo, you might have to decide between single or double tone. Perhaps even between a mix of the two. Anytime I have a passage that involves K-tonguing, I like to practice the entire passage, all K-tongued, very slowly. Aim to make the K-tongue as similar to a regular tongue note as possible. If you decide to single tongue the opening, always keep it light so that the tongue doesn't get on the way of the fluidity of the line. Be sure to maintain a steady airstream through the opening. Try playing the opening as a long tone exercise and then immediately repeat it as written, trying to use the airflow the same way for both the long tone version and the toned version. The dot markings on the notes don't necessarily mean short. It means bouncy and light. I always recommend that you learn each breath slowly, just as you would learn a difficult technical passage. And as you speed up the breath, focus on changing only the speed of the breath and not the quality or feeling of the breath, being careful not to clip the note before the breath. If needed, play with the time and not the length of the note. This is even more crucial in this etude, since many of the breaths have to happen very quickly. Practice playing the note before the breath as a longer note, and once you put that into context, still maintain that feeling of a longer note. As you enter the più lento section, think of the first note in a large interval as long as possible. Even practice as a longer note than back to written to get used to that feeling. Be sure to enunciate the grace notes on bars 32 and 40. The F to G combination can be tricky. Try using different fingerings and see what works best for you. At bars 34 and 35, and especially bars 41 through 46, be careful not to sound repetitive. Think of larger phrasing instead of focusing on each bar individually. Try playing just the outline of the phrase a few times, even recording it and listening back. This will help you choose the overall shape of these phrases. Always subdivide. This is even more important in the middle section, especially when you have 16th notes moving off of a tied downbeat. Practice playing out the subdivision at first. Practice with the metronome and even record yourself with the metronome. You will quickly figure out your tendencies, whether it is to rush or drag. Once you have a good grasp on time, then you can explore adding or stealing time here and there, as long as it is appropriate and fits the style. And when working on your rallentando, try to conduct yourself singing it. Could you follow your own musical ideas? Can you pair physical motion to the rallentando? After all, if you can't follow your musical ideas, it is very likely that your listeners also can't. Lastly, remember to make music and have fun learning and performing this etude. And you will find the process and results very rewarding. Thanks for watching. You can visit us at axiombrass.com for more videos like this. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.